Welcome, beautiful people, to the Simply Successful podcast. I am your host, Susan Michaelis, and I am thrilled to be your friend and guide and your biggest supporter on your way to your next triumph. Today, we're going to talk about a very important topic about work-related stress, how to prevent burnout, and how to own the power of presence to become a charismatic and more efficient leader again. So I did a bit of a research on this, and latest studies show again that work is the common cause of stress in people's lives overall, with almost 80% of people affected by work-related stress. And in particular, employees' daily stress levels have risen and climbed to a new record high of 44%. Leading or resulting in around 70 million sick days related to work stress, depression, or work anxiety every year. But guess who outlines even that number? You're right, our top managers in high executive positions. They even climb that mountaintop with over 53%, according to Harvard Business Review, feeling burnt out or being in a constant state of stress at work on a daily basis. And just doing more of the same never solves the problem. So here is what I discovered to be more effective. But first, let's dive deeper into the top 3 causes why people actually are so stressed out at work. And it feels like a whole epidemic growing and growing and growing. And only the top 3 causes, or the top 1 cause, of course, as expected, is heavy workload. Especially the too many meetings, the influx of mails and unstructured information, like everything that comes with digital age and digital transformation and globalization, and that feeling of being available, or have to be available all time at all costs. And what I see working with a lot of global companies and leaders, and when I go into the companies, it is almost every time kind of a self-cooked problem or a self-produced problem, because I see when it comes to heavy workloads and employees and managers being stressed and burned out, I see that there is always too many projects at once. There is really rarely an actual evaluation process of what the companies are doing. I see them just doing and doing and doing and sticking on and clinging on with projects. No one had really evaluated yet the benefits and the actual outcome and the cost and the usability relationship of those projects and tasks and processes ahead, and actually evaluated that and adapt a real change management. And this is a huge thing why workload seems to be exploding, because no one really seems to have the guts to cut things simply down that don't work. And we try to pull everything with us and drag it along the way and hope for it to work out at some point without actually taking action accordingly and measuring how effective we do what we do on a daily basis. And this goes hand in hand with oftentimes intransparent and unspecified processes or outcomes, and a lot of confusion, especially with employees about lack of clear priorities. So they really have just a vague idea of what to do first and what to prioritize, because everything seems to be important all at once. And this whole idea of multitasking, you can immediately throw out the window, because it is the sure way for ineffectiveness and burnout to begin with. And we experience that, and we can prove that. Just seeing the effects of this whole multitasking epidemic, because that actually was leading us to where we are today, to all this confusion and stress and being overworked and overloaded with tasks at the same time. And talking about tasks and projects at the same time, I also see in nearly every company, especially dramatically since COVID ended and people get back to work and back into in-person meetings, I witnessed that there is too many meetings and too many managers and executives complaining about being busy all day with meetings and feeling like they didn't get anything done. But then if I'm entering the meetings and I go into the companies for SWOT analysis, for a process optimization, for an actual check-in with their processes and with their business culture, I witness almost all the time being in meetings where everyone sits on a table with whether their laptop or their mobile open and simultaneously working or scrolling or doing something else while attending the meeting. So what do you expect the meeting and the outcome of the meeting to be? Seriously. And everyone is complaining about a lack of appreciation, a lack of support, and actually team culture, team spirit being flushed down the toilet. But what are you expecting? If you meet in person in a meeting, someone put their time and effort and energy in, and there is a common goal, and everyone attends with their laptop, building up that physical barrier in between the people and actually working on something else, not even being present to even be able to digest the information, to process it, and to find a solution, aka to have an effective meeting. But like, what does that do to our interpersonal connection? Like, this is the most disrespectful thing I witnessed, yet it seems so common and no one is really even be bothered by it, but because it seemed like socially acceptable, this multitasking thing, and I'm not present. Like, I hear you talking, but I'm here on my laptop doing something else. And this is a huge, huge problem I want to address later on in more depth. But that, of course, leads to the second main cause of work-related stress, which is a feeling of lack of control. And this, of course, I see leads to micromanagement, an extremely tense and tight work atmosphere, sometimes leaders putting excessive rules and procedures onto employees in order to to be in charge or in control, when there's really the reason somewhere else. And that makes the team climate even worse, and it completely kills creativity and innovation, because when we are in that tense, tight survival stress mode and we're wanting to control things and peoples and outcome, we are so in survival mode that there is no room for our whole brain to be lit up with creativity, with thinking about outside the box solutions, finding innovations or improvements. We're just actually fighting to survive, to maintain the status quo. And how healthy is that in a fast changing environment to not develop yourself or the company, but just fighting to maintain the status quo. But that's just a whole nother level of consequences, probably. And the third big cause I started to address already, but is lack of support. So people feel stressed and burnt out and unhappy at work because of the lack of support, whether from colleagues or from leaders or other parties around the workplace. And this often is tied to conflict and inability to communicate clearly, to even have clear processes, clear priorities, a clear frame for everyone to operate in. And as I addressed earlier, like, of course, we feel a lack of support if we're coming back to the workplaces, sitting in front of each other and not even seeing each other, not paying attention, not being respectful, not showing up with an attitude of gratitude and appreciation. Because listen, if we have a meeting, someone put a lot of effort, time, and dedication to host that meeting, to make a presentation, to do research, to group data, to bring a value to this group that is attending the meeting. And it is supposed to add value and bring a solution and a development in the overall business process and business construct and strategy. And you attending the meeting, sitting there, opening up your laptop and looking at your laptop, doing something 50% or 80% and only listening 20% to what's going on in the meeting, what is presented to you, what is discussed. Like how, like it's not just even disrespectful. And it creates a huge barrier in between people. And of course, it makes the other person resent you as a leader or as a coworker or as a colleague. So it is obviously no wonder to me. Like this is like you don't have to be rocket scientist to see what's the problem. And this is just so simple, but really, really a root cause is because we forget how to interact as people. And for leaders, people is the main goal. It is a people-focused, human-centered approach. Leadership is the ability to lead and guide and support other people. And we experience a huge lack of well-being and stress around this whole team culture and lack of support issue. So only to address these three main causes, of course, holistically, there is a whole variety of steps and processes we have to address in the company and to optimize, of course, in order to solve those issues holistically. As I mentioned, you have to look into the processes, and that's what I do with the companies, and redesign processes and remodel structures and communication policies in the way how we work and interact to solve that. But for this episode, I want to provide you with two really powerful techniques that will not only increase your workplace success, but drastically reduce your own personal levels of stress and allow you to become this more charismatic, effective, and especially engaging leader you want to be and you can be. So the first powerful technique, and maybe a reminder, because to me it should be a given, is owning the power of presence again. And I already mentioned it. It become very rare to me that I witness leaders and executives that possess or incorporate that standards, qualities, and personality traits of like true charismatic leaders. And that's why I want to remind you to step in that power again and to really evaluate and reflect for yourself, where am I right now incorporating the leader and the leadership qualities I want to be? Who am I today as a leader? How am I approaching other people? With what attitude and with what presence and charisma do I enter the workplace every day? How do my employees and how do colleagues view me on a daily basis? Am I really the type of leader that is present, upright, confident, that looks people in the eye while shaking their hands, saying, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I am here for you? And really has this charisma and have this, like emanates that aura of owning what you're doing. And you can only have that presence and that charisma and that effect on other people if you are embodying this 100% in the present moment. If you are here right now in your body, in your full power, being present with the people or the task ahead. And the simplest you can do is really to evaluate whether you do it already or where you can remind yourself to step into that role and that identity and that embodiment again when you have one-on-one meetings or when you host meetings. Like really be powerful and grateful and respectful and appreciative, because so many times in so many surveys and engagement studies in the companies, the number one complaint besides the workload and the already named ones is a lack of appreciation. And this goes to both ways, of course. But first of all, we only can control our own behavior. That's why we start with ourselves. And if you want appreciation and positive feedback or feedback in general and respect from your employees and from your colleagues, then you have to show up first respectful and appreciative. And this is how you do it, is like step into a meeting and be present, be all ears, look at the people, shut those laptops. If you're not the one hosting the meeting, of course, shut those laptops, put that mobile away. We all know high executive positions and leaders, they have a lot of tasks ahead. We know how full the calendar is and how hard it is to squeeze another appointment in. We know that, but you don't make it any better in trying to mix and mold everything and being in one meeting but doing another, because you're never doing anything effectively and 100%. So I'm recommending for you to become that different, charismatic, powerful, efficient leader. Start hosting your meetings again with that presence and with that appreciation and with that people-centered focus, and demand it from your team. Remind them what is important here. It is the people that run a company. It is the people that run the processes. It is the people that come in contact with the clients, with the customers, with the supply, with the whatever logistics. Every process it is always the people behind that makes the company outstanding. and put that people-centered focus back into your meetings and into your one-on-one conversations, and demand it from your team, because no one needs to have a laptop open right now. There is a meeting now, and for the next 30 minutes or for the next hour, this is what is to be discussed and what is to be the main topic we all 100% focus on, to make sure we come up with a solution immediately. And what I see, if you start being present again, you don't need a million meetings to find a solution to a problem, and you don't need 2-hour meetings. You probably just need 30 minutes of real effective work, heads down, everyone's here in the moment, one goal, and go for it. And you become way more effective. It is way more satisfying for everyone involved in the process, and you will be experienced at a different breed, a different kind of leader, someone that actually listens, that actually is effective, that actually is hands down here to roll up the sleeves and get things going. So please really use that as a reminder to go back to that approach and attitude. And the second powerful technique or idea I want to share with you is the idea from getting from simple time management to energy management. And here is what I want you to know. I want you to do. Just take out a sheet of paper, or take out my worksheet, and really sit down for a couple minutes and reflect on all the tasks, the reoccurring tasks and processes you have on a daily basis. And that can be not only work related, but as well as at home, your hobbies, your sports, whatever, everything you do on a daily and weekly basis. And take that worksheet and picture it as every task is a tiny little glass. And I want you to fill in the glass with an amount of liquid and really group those tasks, whether they are draining a lot of energy from you or whether they're refilling your tank and they're giving you a lot of energy. And I want you to really evaluate your tasks and the things you do on a daily basis. And if there are tasks that are extremely challenging and draining, and you have no interest in doing them, and you see no improvements, and it's in no relation to cost and usability, I want you to delegate this or even toss it if possible. And I want you to really make sure that that energy account is always balanced and that you focus on doing things and tasks on your workplace and in your private life that actually refill your tanks and that gives you energy and that boosts you with energy. And really evaluate whether the task you do on a daily basis and a weekly basis, how much effect and impact do they actually have on the outcome of your business unit, on the overall goal of your business unit, and prioritize them. So you're going out of that rat race of everything is important and I have to stick my nose in everything and I want to do it myself. That's why I keep myself busy with tasks that are not even worth it or extremely draining for me. I want you to really sort that out and have an honest and authentic check-in with yourself on your energy bank account and really review the tasks at hand you do repeatedly and whether they are really effective and really impactful or uplifting for you, or whether they're simply not. And to sort it out. So if you consider both of the power techniques to be 100% present, to own that spot, own that space, own that meeting, be there fully upright, confident as the powerful leader you are, being all ears, open, have an eye contact, and actually connecting with your people and the task ahead, and being there fully in 100% with all your power and force, you're not only going to become extremely effective, time efficient, and a problem solver and a real badass leader. No, you're going to be respected. You're going to be appreciated. You going to have a standard. People will view you as a different kind of a leader. They probably even acknowledge and admire you for that, because in the end it is people focused, and people want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to be acknowledged. And if you do it different than all the other leaders I see out there, this is a huge advantage and makes you top 1% leaders of the leaders. And on the other way, if you want to reduce your stress levels immensely, not just do everything you are doing 100%, but really check in with yourself and hold your energy management accountable, have your energy banking account balanced at all time, reevaluate the tasks ahead and the projects and the processes constantly, and really sort out the ineffective tasks, the delegate the very draining ones that can't be tossed, and make sure that you focus on top of that. Maybe in your private life or even at work, you find tasks and things that are actually refilling your cup and re-energizing your system, because only if you take good care of your energy, you're going to be able to show up as the leader you're supposed to be, to show up as your best version. And if you do both of them, you're top level, you're top of the tops, and you gonna rock.